This is the Venezianico Arsenale. Venezianico is an interesting brand. It is one of those brands that fall into the category of affordable micro brands, brands that offer watches under €1,000. I get to handle a lot of watches. As someone that has been in the watch industry for, more than 10 years now, it is always interesting for me to see what is possible in terms of watches under €1,000. And with brands like Formex, Baltic, Seiko, of course, and Tissot that are very active in this space, it's always interesting and especially fun to experience new brands coming up that offer exactly that. A watch with an interesting design, an interesting idea for a, more affordable price compared to the mainstream luxury watch brands. And this is also true for Venezianico, a brand that was founded in 2017 by the brothers Alberto and Alessandro Morelli in Venice. A watch brand that is heavily inspired by their hometown, by the design, the culture of the Venetians. As they have been making watches in the past, I wanted to check out their newest model, the Arsenale. It's pretty interesting. So let's dive into the watch and let's talk about the specs first. The design of this watch is heavily inspired by Venice's most popular and famous shipyard, the Arsenale. At first glance, this watch reminds me of the classic integrated steel sports watches. A Royal Oak, a Girard-Perregaux Laureato, even a Chapek, because due to its shape, it reminds me heavily of those. You could even say it falls into the category that the Tissot PRX also falls in. But there are some nuances to this topic because for the price of €800, you do get a lot in terms of watch. The watch is made out of stainless steel, has a case diameter of 40 millimeters, a lug-to-lug of 44 millimeters, which is very interesting because the watch wears way smaller on the wrist. It has a thinness of just under 9 millimeters, and that is achieved by using an automatic Miyota movement. The watch has a water resistance of 50 meters, a screw-down crown, and especially on the topic of the crown is very well designed. Usually, with these watches that are small and thin, the crown is also small and thin. But in this case, the crown is slightly bigger. It kind of has a similar thickness as the watch case itself, which makes opening and handling the crown very easy, very smooth. And this is something I like, these small details, and especially brands that are in this category, similar to Baltic, for example, they are particularly focused on design. And this is very well done. The straight or horizontal Côte de Genève stripes on the dial. This is very cool. It makes the dial look very stunning. And I appreciate the brand for not implementing a date in this watch because this makes the watch so much more easier to wear. Kind of reminds me a little bit about these vintage Royal Oak models because we don't have a second hand on the watch itself. It sits very well on the wrist. Additionally, I got a rubber strap. There is one downside to this whole topic of strap because you can change it, but you will need a screwdriver to take out this bracelet, put the other one in. In my opinion, this is a missed opportunity for Venezianico. And in the future, I'd wish for that. A quick exchange mechanism similar to what Tissot has done with their PRX with a simple push pin would have been fantastic. I do understand from what I see on the case, it might have been a bit more difficult because the bracelet has these different shaped links and links between the bracelet, and therefore there's not enough space, in my opinion, to put a push pin like that into this link that is attached to the case. This is something I think that the brand can figure out in the future, and in my opinion should also work on, because there's a lot of potential for brands like Venezianico in a price category like this to have optional straps and to offer straps that people like me, for example, would like to interchange. Although the bracelet itself is very well done, we have different kinds of finishes, we have angles, we have ways to take out some links to make it smaller, and they use this type of butterfly clasp, which is totally fine, very well done. And overall, the watch feels great on the wrist. I do prefer the rubber strap, to be honest. The watch itself is still kept very minimal, very clean. And this is something that I appreciate, I like, because I prefer wearing watches like this. More simple, more easy. There's also one cool thing on the case back. There is a picture of the most iconic parts of the Arsenale, the shipyard of Venice. This is very well executed. A very nice detail to look at. And you know, I can relate to those two brothers, because I myself am running the Hirsch company with my brother, and I like companies like this that have this attention to detail, that think about more than just making a simple watch, buying it somewhere and then putting it out. There is more detail in these kinds of watches, and this is what I appreciate. Even if they're using a Miyota movement, and even if these watches are produced in bigger numbers, for example, and are not made by themselves, it's not necessary to do so, especially not at this price point. But there are other cues, advantages that go beyond this topic, and that is the attention to detail when it comes to the design and the story of the brand itself. And this is very well represented in this type of watch. You have the attention to detail on the bezel as well, because they use this knurled pattern that can be found on the towers of Venice. What I kind of also like are the skeletonized Dauphine hands, because it gives the watch a very sporty twist. They could have gone for non-skeletonized Dauphine hands, which may well have made the watch more elegant, in line with the whole aesthetic of the dial. But it's pretty nice. Well, due to the skeletonization of the hands, you have this kind of interesting thing to look at, especially when you have the horizontal Côte de Genève lines on the dial, and they are interrupted with the hands. So if you want to have more information on this particular piece, on the brand itself, I will have a link down below. I wanted to check out this brand because it's new, and I like diving into new brands, learning about their history, their knowledge. Of course, there are some things that I don't like about the watch. I particularly don't really fancy the bracelet because it kind of catches my hair and it hurts. But I'm not a bracelet type of guy. There is a missed opportunity when it comes to the quick exchange mechanism for the watch. I would have liked to maybe see a closed case on the attachment to integrate standard watch straps, or just to have a adapter to attach standard watch straps. It would have been nice, would have been more attention to detail when it comes to other audiences wanting to wear a watch like this. I also think that they could have gone for 100 meters of water resistance, especially when it comes down to the screw down crown. Then again, 50 is okay. And yeah, they offer this watch in 2 other colors, and there is a limited edition in ultra black, which is also quite cool, which I like. And this just resembles the elegance of the Italians. They know how to do these kinds of things. Let me know what other micro brand I should check out in the future. I'd be interested to hear what kind of brands you're currently into, what brands I should look at and also try to get my hands on. That's it for today, for this video. And if you want to check out 2 other reviews of micro brands, here are 2 for you to check out. And that's all. Please don't forget to subscribe. And as always, if you feel like it, put a thumbs up. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.